Welcome back to MDA Crochet. Stitch tutorial we're going to learn today is called the cross stitch. It is worked up in multiples of even numbers. I've already brought up my chain of 20 into the foundation row. And how we do this stitch, it's very simple. Of course, we never work into the side one. We're going to skip the very first one, go into the second one, pull up your loop, and then we do a little backtrack. You're going to go back into that loop you skipped, yarn over, and pull up your loop. You can see there how it crosses it. So you go to the next one, skip, go to the next one, pull it up, and then you're going to backtrack to the one you just skipped. So they will shrink a little bit. Yarn over and pull up your loop. Skip, go to the next one, backtrack to the one you did skip, go right on through, yarn over and pull up your loop. That is all this stitch is. So you'll skip, go back in to the next one, yarn over, pull up your loop, backtrack, go to the next one, go to the one you skipped, poke through, pull up, yarn over and pull up your loop. We're skipping and we're going to the next one, yarn over, pull up your loop, backtrack, yarn over and pull up your loop. Skip, go to the next one, yarn over, pull up your loop, backtrack to the one you just skipped, yarn over and pull up your loop. Skip, go into the next one, yarn over, pull up your loop, backtrack to the one you skipped, yarn over and pull up your loop. Skip, go to the one after there, yarn over, pull up your loop, backtrack to the one you skipped, yarn over and pull up your loop. Skip, go to the next one, yarn over, pull up your loop, backtrack to the one that you skipped, yarn over and pull up your loop. On the very first row, it's a little bit more stiffer to do, and then the end stitch is the exact same as we always do. Yarn over and pull through, and then the return pass is the same. So yarn over and chain one, yarn over and pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And I'm pulling through the last few right now. So again, you skip the very first one, go into the next one, yarn over, pull up your loop, come back to the one you skipped, yarn over and pull up your loop, and that creates the cross action. Skip, go to the next one, yarn over, pull up your loop, backtrack to the one you skipped, yarn over and pull up a loop on that one. Skip, go into the next one, pull up your loop, backtrack to the one you skipped, go through it, yarn over and pull up your loop. And as you can see, the cross action, how it's crisscrossing. So skip, go into, backtrack, go into the one you skipped, yarn over and pull up your loop, skip, go into, then you're going to backtrack to the one you just skipped, go into it, yarn over and pull up your loop, and that is the entire pattern. The foundation row is the harder one to start. The rest following rows are very simple. So we'll skip it, go into, yarn over and pull up our loop, backtrack to the one we skipped, poke through, yarn over and pull up our loop. Then we'll skip, go into, yarn over and pull up our loop, backtrack, go to the one that we skipped, yarn over and pull up our loop in that one. Skip, go into and pull up our loop, backtrack to the one you skipped, go into it, yarn over, and pull up your loop. End stitch is always the same. For this stitch, yarn over, poke through, yarn over, pull up your loop, and the return pass is the same. So chain 1, yarn over, and pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2 all the way down to the end, and we'll do one more row together. So again, we're skipping, and we're going into the next one, yarn over, pull up our loop, and then we're going to backtrack to the one we skipped, go into it, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Skipping, go into, yarn over, and pull up your loop, backtrack to the one you just skipped, go into it, yarn over, and pull up your loop. Skip, go into, yarn over, pull up your loop, backtrack to the one you just skipped, go into it, yarn over, and pull up your loop. And that is it. I'm going to go ahead and do a few more rows off camera, and we'll come back and look at the stitch. I'll see you in just a moment. Alright, so I've gotten several rows up. Now how we're going to close this off, we're just going to close it off the way we did the stitch. You're going to skip the first one, go into the second one, yarn over, pull up your loop, slip it off. And then you can go back, do your backtrack, yarn over, pull up your loop, and slip it off. Front one, skip one, yarn over, pull up your loop, slip it off, go back, backtrack, pull up your loop, yarn over, and slip it off. And that is how you close this stitch off. So that way you can keep the stitch pattern going. I'm going to finish closing this off, and then we'll look at the stitch and talk about it for a second. See you in just a second. And we're at the end, and we just handle the end the exact same way as we always have. Just go through your end stitch, yarn over, pull up your loop, then you're going to yarn over and just slip it off. And that is how you close this stitch off. Let me go ahead and get rid of my yarn. And that is the Tunisian cross stitch. The actual stitch is called cross stitch, as you can see from the different crisscrosses that are going on. It has a little bit of stretch, not much for the vertical, but a decent amount for horizontal. And it is very simple to do. This fabric does have a lot of curl to it because you are twisting it in the front, so it's going to curl on you. And if you can remember to give me a like, and if you found this tutorial helpful, please give me a like and subscribe, and leave me a comment. I will chit chat with you. And as always, folks, keep stitching.